AT&T, Amazon, and Dell.
Federal workers.
Employees at the Washington Post, they are being ordered back to the office 5 days a week.
In the years following the pandemic, remote work became the new normal. But that's not the case anymore.
I think a lot of organizations threw a lot of trust that they had built up with their employees out the window when they shifted very quickly away from all of the rhetoric around this is our new normal.
In 2022, fully remote jobs were about 1 in 5 job postings on LinkedIn. Today, that's down to about 1 in 12.
During the pandemic, nearly 1 in 5 jobs on LinkedIn were remote. Obviously, because they were saying that people had to social distance. Now that we've kind of gotten further away from any COVID symptoms, we kind of know what it is, know how to mitigate people getting sick and getting infected and getting hurt, being hospitalized. Of course, people want their employees back in the office. They want you back on the floor where they can see you.
You can't say that.
Is he allowed to say that?
I'll say it louder. I think we all kind of know that. And the days of remote work are over. Of course, there are going to be some jobs that either are fully remote, some are hybrid, but for the most part, people want to make sure that there are employees in the office that are using the office space that they've been leasing or that they bought.
About 60% of the applications on LinkedIn are going to remote and hybrid roles, even though they're only about 20% of overall job postings.
Nearly half of hybrid and remote employees said they'd be unlikely to stay at their job if they were called back to their offices full-time. And if employees do choose to stay, some rebel against the mandates by only making brief appearances in the office, otherwise known as coffee badging. However, some workers are welcoming the switch.
When Amazon announced fully in office, I was excited to get in there in person with all my teammates.
So what's causing the push for employees to return to office? And what does the future of work look like?
There was a gentleman that said 60% of jobs that are, what was the statistic? Let me see. I want to get this absolutely correct. He said 20% of the jobs on LinkedIn are hybrid or remote, but they receive 60% of the applicants. What does that tell you? That half the people that are going on LinkedIn to apply want hybrid or remote jobs. I can guarantee you all of those people are not top employees. Some of those people are the bottom of the barrel, the worst employees, the people that are going to do absolutely nothing. As soon as they get hired, they get their laptop, they're going to sit at home, not going to be productive, not going to be helpful. You're not going to get them in meetings. And these are the people that are looking to get over on the system. Is that everybody? No, it's absolutely not everybody. But I think it's going to be most of the people. Most of the people don't want to be seen, don't want to be heard from. And then you had the guy that says, yo, you know, I'm glad to get into the office. I'm not doing any coffee badging, which if you don't know what that is, it's when people basically go into the office at Amazon, Google, Netflix, Meta. They were badging in, getting the coffee to show that they were there for the day. And then they were going home, maybe stay an hour or two and then going home. You had the gentleman that says, yo, I'm glad to be on the campus. I'm glad to have the opportunity to interface with the other people that I work with the managers. And honestly, that's how you build those interpersonal relationships so that you can get further up the chain, right? Whether that be in management or just on your team, moving further up into a higher engineer role. And everybody's not an engineer, obviously, that are doing the jobs, but specifically for the coffee badging, those were those high earning tech roles. By the way, if you like this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. And if you have something to say it down in the comments. Let's get back into this content.
Fully in office, I was excited to get in there in person with all my teammates.
So what's causing the push for employees to return to office? And what does the future of work look like? There are a couple of reasons why companies might do a return to office mandate. One, they have real estate and they want to make use of it.
Another reason is that companies may think that workers are possibly more productive in the office. Productivity translates to profits.
Shifting labor market dynamics is another one.
While by broad measures, the job market is doing pretty well with unemployment low and still adding jobs, we do see that the momentum has shifted back to employers.
Basic economics. When supply is up, there are fewer reasons for employers to offer incentives like flexible work. There are also certain types of leaders who are more likely to make these demands.
We found return to office mandates are more likely in firms with male and powerful CEOs. They are used to working in the office for 5 days a week, and they feel that they are losing control over their employees who are working from home. And another big reason is stock market pressure. Return to office mandates are more likely after firms' stock price crash. And a very easy explanation for the poor performance by the managers is actually employees are being lazy at home.
They said part of the reason is that these male CEOs, managers, whatever their role is, they don't have control over the employees. So the employees are being less productive. The stock market is crashing, or that stock is crashing. And shareholders want to get these people back in office to be productive. That's one ideology. One of the things that I continue to question about this, as these videos come out, as we learn more about the remote work, people returning to office, during the pandemic, they rushed and said, hey, people are more productive if they work at home. It worked out for them. You know, we had the social distance. We had to get people out of the office. We didn't want people on top of each other. Studies were coming out. They said, oh, this is more effective. If we send people home, we give them a computer, and we just have Teams or we have Skype, some way for them to communicate. It's more effective when they're at home. That's what they said. They put research out for it. They put articles out for it. The news was pumping it. And now that the sentiment for being in the office has changed, the news changed. So which is it? Is it the chicken before the egg, or the egg before the chicken? Are we sending people in the office because it's more productive, or are we more productive because we're in the office? They have to make up their mind about which one it is. Either way, I don't mind, right? Either way, I don't mind. I'll go in the office if I'm told to go in the office. As long as they keep paying me, I'm showing up. That's my personal methodology. As long as you pay me, as long as my check clears on the day it's supposed to clear, that direct deposit hits, I'm doing whatever you ask me to do, because that's what the job is. You hire me to do something, I go and do that. And for that exchange between us, I give you my time and you give me your money. So whatever it is, I don't mind, to be honest with you. But there are a lot of people that are chasing that remote work, those remote work positions, and they've got to just admit that that time is done. More than likely, if you're going to get some sort of job, it's going to be hybrid. It's going to be hybrid. You're not getting these fully remote jobs, because you got to remember, if it's remote and it can be worked from anywhere, the most talented people are going to be applying to those jobs. So if you're a entry level or mid-level engineer, I keep saying engineer because I'm a network engineer. That's what I'm familiar with. If you're an entry level or mid-level engineer and you're competing with senior engineers for remote jobs, then you're not going to get them, right? Of course, you got to look at the job description and say, hey, is this something that I can do? But you're applying for jobs that the best of the talent pool is also going to be applying for, because everybody that doesn't want to be in the office or is trying to pick up a second job or some sort of whatever situation that they're in, they're going to be applying for these jobs as well. And you're competing against them when you don't have the skills and you don't have the career to back the fact that you're trying to justify you working at home.
The most common industries with RTO mandates are finance, insurance, and real estate at 32%, followed by manufacturing at 30%. Return to office mandates are also viewed by some as back-channel layoffs. A June 2024 Bamboo HR survey found that 25% of VP and C-suite executives and 18% of HR professionals admitted to hoping that their return to office mandates would lead to voluntary turnover. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy denied in an all-hands meeting that the company's 5-day in-office mandate had anything to do with this.
These organizations may think that their goal is to, remove X%. That's not going to fix whatever is going on in their organization. I think what people really want is to work in organizations that have been very deliberate about what they're doing, so that if they have to come into an office every day, they're not spending the entire day in video calls with people in other offices or working from home.
I do see that point. If you're going to bring me into the office, at least make me collaborate with the people that are there. Don't bring me into the office just so I can sit in the cubicle, sit at a desk, sit on the floor space in my section, and then I'm still on all of these Teams calls. If we're going to be in the office, if being face-to-face is the goal, then at least allow us to also collaborate in the office. Have office space for us to have meetings, all that type of stuff. I get that. They said the Amazon CEO said the return to office mandate is specifically for Amazon was not about getting people to quit their job. And we got to call bullshit when we see it. If they're asking people to come back into the office, they know that some people have moved out of state. They've moved, where the commute is so far that it doesn't make sense for them to keep that job, right? If you move 2-3 hours away from your office when you were initially 20-30 minutes away, you're like, man, I already bought a house. I planned my life contingent on the fact that I was going to be able to work remote based on the studies that they were saying, the articles that they were saying. Now I've moved so far away, I'm not moving back and selling my house. Well, those people are going to have to quit and find new employment. They're going to be applying for those other remote jobs that the top of the talent pool is applying for. Obviously, they're going to be quitting. And while you say it's not a layoff, it essentially is a layoff. You're asking people to uproot their life after you made one promise to them, which is your prerogative as a business owner. You know that they can't just up and make that move, so they're going to quit. The reason they don't want to call it a layoff is because that has negative impacts on the stock market. It has negative impacts on the way that the company looks. When companies start doing massive layoffs, it's obvious that they're trying to save money. Personnel is one of the biggest expenses for a company, admin. It's one of the biggest expenses for a company. That's why when you see a company struggling, what they start to do is lay people off. So if you've been struggling at work, things are going on, and you start having to take multiple people's jobs, you could be in that situation because your company is struggling. They're trying to cut down on the amount of money that's going out on personnel. They're doubling up your workload. I'm not saying that's specifically what Amazon is doing or all of these big tech companies because they have so much money. But we know that they had an influx of people that they were hiring during the pandemic because they wanted to make new technologies and explore new avenues based on the fact that people were home, right? One of those things being Meta, exploring the metaverse. This content, it comes from CNBC Make It. That's where we're going to end it for today. If you want to check it out, I'm going to have a link down in the show notes. But remote work, those days are over. You're going to be hard pressed to find a job that you can work remotely or hybrid, and it's not going to exactly fit your lifestyle the way that it was early into the pandemic. It just is what it is. You got to get back to getting in the office. Hopefully you didn't go buy a house that was 300 miles away and you can't make it back to wherever it is that your workplace is. But like I always say, if you keep paying me, I'll keep showing up. If you like the video, subscribe to me back here for the next conversation. And if you have thoughts, let the world know. This is the place for discourse. Till next time. Peace.